It's late at night, you're sitting alone at your desk, screen glowing in a dark room, and you've just opened a browser that looks different, slower, weirder web addresses. You've heard about it for years. The dark web, this hidden layer of the internet where nothing feels traceable. And for a second, it really does feel like nobody could ever find you here. But here's the truth most people don't realize. The FBI, along with agencies around the world, has spent over a decade building tools, teams, and tactics specifically designed to unmask people just like the version of you sitting at that desk. Today, we're going level by level, from just browsing out of curiosity to running a criminal empire that governments treat as a national security threat. You'll see exactly who starts watching, when they start watching, and how anonymous turns into arrested. Let's start at the very bottom. Level 1 is the entry point. Simple curiosity. You downloaded a special browser, the kind that bounces your connection through several relay points around the world to hide where you're really coming from. You're not buying anything. You're not selling anything. You're just looking. Marketplaces, forums, strange corners of the internet most people will never see. At this level, honestly, you're mostly safe. Law enforcement isn't tracking random browsing. Millions of people visit these networks out of pure curiosity. Researchers, journalists, even privacy-conscious regular people. But here's the catch. The tool that makes you anonymous isn't perfect, and neither are you. Every site you visit, every link you click creates a small digital footprint. Most of it goes nowhere. But agencies do run automated systems that quietly log traffic patterns and site visits at scale, building a general picture of who's out there, not to arrest you yet, but to understand the landscape. At this stage, you're a face in a very large crowd. But the moment you stop looking and start doing, that crowd gets a lot smaller. Level 2 is where you cross a line. You decide actually to buy something. Maybe it's a small amount of something illegal, or a piece of pirated software, or fake documents. You pay with cryptocurrency, thinking it's untraceable, and a package shows up at your door days later in unmarked packaging. Here's what you don't see happening behind the scenes. Postal inspectors and customs agents run machines that scan packages for suspicious patterns. Weight, shape, and where it's shipped from. If a package gets flagged, it doesn't get delivered right away. It gets pulled aside, sometimes x-rayed, sometimes opened under a warrant. And on the digital side, that cryptocurrency you thought was invisible actually leaves a permanent public trail on something called a blockchain, a shared ledger that anyone, including investigators, can analyze. Specialized units use software that traces coins from wallet to wallet, matching your purchase to a marketplace that might already be under investigation. At this level, most people still don't get caught in the moment. But if the marketplace itself ever gets seized, guess whose order history investigators now have? Level 3 is a big shift. You're not just buying anymore, you're selling. Even in small amounts, becoming a vendor changes everything because now you're generating a pattern. Repeated listings, repeated shipments, repeated payments coming in. This is exactly the kind of pattern investigators are trained to look for. Undercover agents actually pose as buyers on these marketplaces. They'll message you, negotiate a deal, and place a real order just like a customer would. If they receive that package, they now have your shipping address, your packaging style, sometimes even your handwriting. Meanwhile, postal workers assigned to task forces are trained to flag repeat senders using unusual paper, tape, or vacuum sealing that criminals commonly use to avoid detection dogs. You feel a strange rush every time a sale goes through, like you're getting away with something clever. But behind that screen name you picked, agents are running your writing style, your slang, even your typos through analysis tools that can link a username on one platform to your real identity used somewhere else years ago. One slip, reusing a password, an old email, a payment method tied to your name, and the wall of anonymity you built starts cracking. Level 4 is where this stops being a side hustle and starts looking like an actual business. Regular customers, regular income, maybe even employees helping you package and ship. This is when a Homeland Security Investigations or FBI task force might already have an open case with your vendor name attached to it, even if they don't know who you are yet. At this point, agents aren't just buying from you once, they're building a full profile. Your shipping patterns, your typical order size, the times of day you're most active online. If your cryptocurrency payments start moving through an exchange, a website where crypto gets converted into regular money, that's a major turning point, because most exchanges are legally required to verify identity. The moment your crypto touches one of those platforms, even indirectly through several wallets, a trail starts pointing toward a real bank account, a real name. You start noticing small things that unsettle you. A strange car parked near your house a little too often, a delayed shipment that feels off. That paranoia isn't random. At this level, surveillance sometimes begins before an arrest occurs, giving investigators time to build an airtight case rather than move too early. Level 5 is the moment everything changes, because this is usually where a major marketplace itself gets taken down. Here's how it actually happens. Agencies from multiple countries, the FBI, Europol, and others, quietly work together for months, sometimes years, sharing intelligence without tipping anyone off. Then, in a coordinated operation, they seize the servers running the marketplace all at once, often replacing the site with a single message. This domain has been seized. Every order, every message, every username on that platform is now sitting in evidence rooms, being decrypted and cross-referenced. If you were ever a vendor or a repeat buyer on that site, your entire history just became a case file. And around this time, you might notice your usual login isn't working anymore. Panic sets in. You try switching to a new marketplace, a new username, but investigators have already linked your writing patterns, your crypto wallets, and your shipping habits to your old identity. This is when many people make their biggest mistake. They get sloppy out of fear, using a personal email or phone just once to check something, and that single mistake becomes the thread that unravels everything. Level 6 is the moment it stops being digital and becomes very, very physical. By now, agents have your real address, confirmed through months of financial records, shipping data, and sometimes even a single IP address leak from a moment your anonymity tool glitched or was misconfigured. Early in the morning, before sunrise, you hear it, pounding on the door, a voice shouting, "FBI, search warrant. Open the door." Your heart stops. Agents move through your home fast and organized, securing every room, while a digital forensics specialist heads straight for your computer. And this part matters. They try to grab it while it's still open and unlocked, because encrypted devices that are powered off can be nearly impossible to access. Your hard drives, phone, and any storage devices are seized as evidence. You're handcuffed, read your rights, and walked outside in front of neighbors who are now watching from their windows. At the station, forensic examiners begin reconstructing your entire digital life. Deleted files, browser histories, encrypted chats, piecing together a timeline that will form the backbone of the case against you. Level 7 belongs to a different kind of criminal entirely. Hackers, ransomware operators, and people selling massive amounts of stolen personal data. This level draws in specialized cybercrime units and sometimes even international partners, because these crimes rarely stay inside one country's borders. And if you're running ransomware, malicious software that locks a company's files until they pay you, you're not just facing local police anymore. You're facing a joint task force that might include the FBI's cyber division, private cybersecurity firms hired to trace the attack, and international law enforcement in whatever country your servers are secretly routed through. Investigators analyze the actual code you use because most hackers unknowingly reuse pieces of their own programming style across multiple attacks, almost like a fingerprint. Financial investigators simultaneously trace the ransom payments, watching where that cryptocurrency eventually lands. At this level, arrests often happen through international cooperation, extradition requests, coordinated raids across several countries at once, sometimes catching people completely off guard while they're traveling, and arrested the moment they cross into a country with an extradition agreement. Level 8 is the top of the ladder, running an entire dark web marketplace or being linked to activity connected to terrorism financing or weapons trafficking at scale. At this level, you're no longer just a criminal case. You're treated as a national security matter. This means the FBI works alongside agencies like the CIA, the Department of Homeland Security, and international intelligence partners, sometimes monitoring a target for years before ever making a move. Every part of your life becomes a target for investigation, financial networks, travel patterns, associates, sometimes even physical surveillance teams tracking your movement in person. If you're operating a marketplace, investigators may run it secretly for a period of time after seizing it, pretending it's still active to gather even more evidence and catch additional criminals still using the site, completely unaware it's already been taken over. When the arrest finally happens at this level, it's often a massive, coordinated operation across multiple countries simultaneously, announced publicly with press conferences, because takedowns at this level are treated as major victories against organized global crime. So when you step back and look at the whole picture, here's the pattern. The dark web was never actually dark to the people trained to look. Every level, from curious browsing to running an empire, leaves some kind of trail, whether it's a payment, a writing style, a shipping label, or a single mistake made out of fear. The tools that make you feel invisible are only as strong as the habits of the person using them. And habits are exactly what investigators are trained to notice. If this breakdown opened your eyes to how this world actually works behind the screen, drop a comment with which level surprised you most, hit subscribe for more deep dives like this one, and I'll see you in the next video.